Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Modern Mystic Radio Show on A1R Psychic Radio Network and also Moonstruck TV. I do hope you have had a lovely start to the week. I don't have a guest today, so I will be doing my readings myself, so get dialing in. I know it has been a really sort of stressful time. We have just come through the lunar eclipse, and this one has been particularly, it's also been a full moon as well, but this one has been a particularly difficult one, really emotionally charged. This is what I have noticed around me, going on around me, and also with my clients. And I'm still getting calls now asking for people to have readings because situations have kind of gone through the roof. So really what I want to talk about here is the effect of the lunar eclipse, what that does, and how that could affect you and what you might be experiencing. And also going on from that, you know, more importantly, what can you do about it? Okay, so with the lunar eclipse, really what we are looking at, what I found to be the case, is that anything that is buried or hidden, perhaps really, really old emotions, old situations, things from the past are coming up right to the forefront. And what I've noticed here is that this is affecting people right in the relationship zone, because anything emotional obviously affects the relationship zone. And what I've also found, and this has become more intense on the lead up to the lunar eclipse, and of course now, is this whole feeling of needing something to happen now, like the element of impatience and frustration. And what I have noticed here is that this is really impacting particular soul relationships. Now, with soul relationships anyway, you would imagine that your soulmate or your twin flame your relationship would just go along smoothly and you live in perfect harmony forevermore. Well, that's not actually the case. So with these soul relationships, what we find is that all these challenges, all these insecurities, everything that you could possibly imagine that could stand in the way of your relationship or come up will come up. And the reason for that is that you can grow. So once and for all, you shed all of those emotions and you start to grow. Now, when we're looking at the lunar eclipse, that's not just going to affect relationships. Perhaps there's an area in your life that you've long since forgotten, maybe an earlier frustration, an earlier block. You know, what the lunar eclipse is doing is bringing our attention, not to torment us and frighten us with them or bring them back even, but it's more to so we can clear. So when these emotions come up, what we need to do is actually clear them. Now, what I would like to say as well, because I have noticed this from a lot of my clients, is that when we're looking at relationships or anything that is particularly desired, that we really, really want. So maybe it is the fact that we want an old relationship back. Maybe we are desperately in love with that person, or maybe we're still in that relationship and it's not going well, or maybe you desperately want to get into your, another job or move house or whatever transition and change you are looking for. If it is something that you are emotionally attached to, this area can become blocked. Now, what is it? What do we need to do to unblock ourselves? I mean, first and foremost, I think sometimes we can get ourselves locked in, a certain headspace where we must have that thing and we must have it now and it must work now. And if it doesn't, we become frustrated. We get this whole energy of focusing on what we don't have. Now, that's the number one flaw if you are trying to bring something into your life. Also, what I've noticed is that people sometimes are pushing too hard. And where is the balance between, having persistence and showing the universe actually you're really in it for the long haul. This is what you really want. And what's the point where you actually have to let go a bit? You know, that can be a very difficult one to navigate. So what I say to people is, if you are pushing too hard, if the emotional outcome, if you like, is too great, then at that point, and you've been pushing and you've been trying and it's not working out, then that is the time to take a step back. Now, a lot of people are frightened to take that step back because they believe that if they let it go just for 1 second, that they might lose it altogether or might lose hope of it altogether. Now, this learning this ability of when to step back, when to push forward, you know, is all about our soul growth. You know, this is something that we kind of gather over a period of time through trial and error. And in most of our cases, it's error, you know. However, by learning that delicate balance and understanding that perhaps the reason why something might be blocked isn't because you're being tormented, it's because your soul needs to grow. And by learning to let go of it a little bit and allowing and letting the universe flow through you, you might find yourself becoming a little bit more unstuck, more than you are. Okay. Right, I'm going to go straight on to my first caller. And we have Michelle, and she's in Honolulu in Hawaii. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes,
hi,
I can.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. This is my first time.
Okay, now, what would you like me to look at for you today? Do you have a question at all?
You were just kind of talking about, it sounds like it resonated with me a bit. So, Of course, it's regarding a relationship or whatever it is. But I was hoping to get clarification. I'm very confused.
Okay. Let's just see what we have. Yeah, okay. Right, so at the moment it feels like it's somewhere in between, okay? I feel like it's in no man's land at the moment. I feel like you're moving backwards and forwards with the relationship, or you're getting mixed signals is what I'm being shown. Does that make sense to you?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're quite consistent. You know, I feel like you're like, yes, this feels good. This feels great. Let's go for it. And I feel like it's completely on and off where they're concerned. It's like you get this emotional engagement, and then I feel like it gets pulled right back. Yeah. Now, what I do feel with this is that it's not in the friendship zone. It is. I feel like it's destined to be quite a fulfilling relationship, but I feel like I've got the element of timing coming in with this. Now, when I'm talking about timing, what my guides are saying to me is that as far as you're concerned, you're ready. Okay. The relationship has come in at a time where you are ready to go for it. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's been, like you said, off and on for, I knew him 18 years, but for the past 6 years, and we didn't speak for 5 months. And, you know, I was just letting go and realizing, okay, I have to just live for myself. And then he, you know, it pops back in again, and it draws me right back into that same space. And every time, like, I'm thinking, like, maybe this time he got to realize, or, you know, I'm just thinking that in my head, but I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay. Well, the fact that it keeps on coming back into your life really leads me to feel that, you know, there is going to be a further story with this relationship. And I feel that, because I'm being shown here a really strong soul connection between the two of you. And that's why I feel like it's very difficult to let go of this one. Does that make sense? I feel...
I've never had this, connection with anyone. Even when I'm not thinking about him, it's just, I never had that with anyone else. So it's really, really strange. like I said, never happened to me before. This is different.
Well, soulmate relationships and twin flame relationships are strange. I'll give you that. They're very difficult to navigate around, and they can be an absolute minefield. They can be highly confusing, especially if you're still waiting for the other person to, so I want to say, join you on the journey here, which is where I feel like you're at the moment. I do feel that this relationship will progress. I don't feel, this is the thing, I don't feel that it's destined to carry on playing in the way that it's been playing, if that makes sense. I feel that there has to be a big shift and a big change around this. Now, it's very interesting because I do get the past life card with you as well. So I feel that you do have a past life connection with this person. I feel that they are as much drawn to you as you are to them, because my feeling here is that even when you do attempt to let go and you come to terms with it, then they seem to swoop back in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, what I would like to say here is don't feel like you're going mad, and don't feel that this is something that's not going to happen for you. I feel like both of you, your intuition is drawn towards each other, and it's far more than just a normal connection or normal relationship. When I'm tuning into him or your partner, this person that we're looking at, there's a feeling of wanting to keep their feet on the ground as being the biggest block around this relationship for them. And that's why I feel like they step back. What they're actually doing is not necessarily stepping back, but trying to steady their footing, if that makes sense, and keep a balanced perspective or down to earth, grounded kind of view with the relationship. And the thing is, you can't do that with soul relationships because they defy all logic. But what I'm being shown, I feel that this year there is going to be movement with it. Okay. And I feel that over the last couple of years, you've been actually gravitating more towards this. Now, I know you said earlier that you resonated with what I was saying in terms of things that are blocked. Now, I don't feel here that the problem is with you pursuing this. I don't feel like the problem is with you chasing this or persisting or pushing too hard. I feel that what is needed here is actually on their side to actually start to embrace the whole idea of the relationship. Does that make sense? Now, what I'm also, as I'm talking about this, what my guides are showing me is that there's going to be an event that occurs in their life that is going to shake everything up. Okay. And I feel what it will do is shake them up to the point where they start to, they have to, won't have any choice, but to reprioritize everything. Okay. It's almost as though they've got to have that switch. When you get a situation where something happens and you start to look at life differently and you start to think, well, actually, I don't know what's around the corner. I need to make the most of everything all the time. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I feel I've got this person having to go through. And it's not going to be a negative experience. In fact, it's going to be a very positive experience. And as I'm talking about this event that's coming up for them, what I'm being shown here is that it's not going to be a big disaster that's going to bring about this change, but what I feel here is it's something that how can I put it, it's like it's looking like it could have been. Do you see, when you have a close call with something?
Right.
And I feel like he will prioritise, this person will prioritise differently and actually want to make more of a go of your relationship. Okay. I do feel that this is going to be the year, 2019 is going to be the year for that. Does that make sense?
Finally. No, I've been waiting. I met him 18 years ago, and the first time I saw him, in my mind, I'm like, that's the most beautiful man I ever seen. Like, I just had an instant connection, and we were just friends. But eventually I left. We were coworkers, and I left the airline, and we reconnected about 6 years ago, and more than friends. When I first saw him again, it was just instant again for me. But he never really talks about his feelings, and I don't know what I am or where I stand for him. Like, he tells me things like he misses me all the time and all of these things, but anybody can say things, so in my mind, I'm like, I didn't see him for a while, and then I saw him this past weekend, and it was like beautiful. But now I'm like, that was Sunday I last saw him, and I'm just wondering, like, is it going to be a pattern again where I don't hear from him in X amount of months, or it's very inconsistent. So I don't want to be hurt. Like, I tell myself all the time that I just want to have the best for me, and it's not like I'm waiting around for him. Like, that's not what I'm doing, but it just seems to be like I don't have that connection with anyone else. So it's weird. I just feel like, why, like, is this? So when we saw each other this time, after all this time of not seeing each other, I thought, maybe, because he reached out to me. So I was like, okay, maybe he thought about it and he realized it, like, that maybe it could be me. I don't know.
My feeling is that it's not going to repeat the same pattern. It's not going to repeat the same pattern. And I don't feel that you're going to be sat there waiting for months for him to get back in contact. I feel that he will make the effort. I feel, how can I put it? That I feel that the time that you spent with him recently, the way it made you feel, I feel that it was definitely two ways, if that makes sense. So he would be, I feel, on cloud nine the same way that you are. Does that make sense?
I'm hoping, yes, because it's just that feeling like I couldn't even sleep. Like, it was just how I feel when I'm with him. Like, and I don't, like I said, he doesn't talk about feelings. So I'm thinking, like, am I the one that's only feeling this, or is it just for fun for him? Like, I can't help thinking that, but I just wish one day he would just tell me, like, I feel like this, but maybe I'm not ready. I have to work towards it, or like just have that talk. Like, I'm so afraid to have that talk, I
mean, I don't feel that he is in it for fun at all, and I don't feel like he is misleading you in any way, shape or form. Those feelings, I feel, will come out with him when he's ready. I want to say give this a little bit more time, but I feel like you will be hearing those words that you would like to hear over the course of this year, okay? Particularly sort of around April times where I'm being drawn. Oh. Okay?
So it's worth it. I mean, it's a long journey for me, and I always just question myself if I'm, I can't. You don't choose who you love, who you fall in love with. It just is. And
absolutely,
I believe that.
I'm a strong believer. I'm a strong believer that love chooses us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be easy.
I mean, I've been married before. I've been married but it felt like more comfortable, like settling for something that, like, that they care about you and this is how you want to be treated and this is how you imagine your life, but something's missing. And I can't explain it. It just is, like something's missing before. So I told myself, like, life is too short.
Yeah. And, I feel that he's got to also get to that stage where he believes that life is too short. And I feel that, he's fast approaching that. I feel that he does have every intention of cultivating there's a reason why he's got back in contact, and he may not have had the courage to come out with it over that time that you spent with him. But my feeling is that, I don't know, there's something here about like the connection that you had. It's like his eyes were doing the talking to a certain degree. So I feel that you did feel something from him. Does that make sense? I feel that it wasn't just the case of fun with someone. I feel that you have also been really heavily on his mind as well. Do you know what star sign he is at all?
His birthday is April 20, so I think he's on the cusp of like Aries and Taurus.
Yeah, he's coming across a little bit more Taurus for me. They're even though they're kind of governed by and they are like committed in that respect, when they're in relationships, commitments, all over them. But in terms of expressing their feelings, that's another matter, because they are really grounded as individuals. And I kind of feel that there's an irony there with him and being grounded, because I feel that I just feel that that's not what he does. Does that make sense? In terms of like the work side of it, I just feel like the word grounded is ironic for him. Now, I feel, I'm just looking at this. Let's see what we have, because what I am being shown here is, he's definitely had his eyes, definitely had a fascination with you for quite some time. I feel that he's incredibly drawn towards you. There's something here about like him not necessarily making the move, really out of fear that you would not necessarily be interested in him in that way. I feel that I have got an element of it's like sort of low confidence with him. I feel like he's generally quite outgoing, but when it comes to relationships and intimate relationships in particular, I feel that he's not as confident. And this is why I feel you haven't got him declaring any feelings at this stage. However, what I will say is that when he does say how he feels, it's like there's no turning back. I feel that's it. The floodgates open, and you're going to be, you're going to enter then a very committed situation, because that's really what I feel it's all about. And I feel that has he spent a lot of time on his own relationship wise? Has he been single for a long time?
Yeah, he's divorced, and he lives. Well, he has a son, but yeah, he's a bachelor. He lives by himself. Yeah. I'm sure he dated people, but no, nothing well, if he keeps calling
nothing
me
serious.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
he
feeling.
mentioned it the other day. He mentioned it the other day that his ex-wife is a good mom, but she's like crazy about like him, like having any kind of, I don't know, maybe she wants that hold on him. Oh, I have no idea. Like, that's really strange that he would tell me that too. Like, she's a good mom, but she's like crazy.
I mean, I think, that probably has been a bit of a stumbling block. He will be very, how can I put it, focused and dedicated as a parent. So I feel
his son has Asperger's syndrome, so he needs a little bit more attention than, normal, which is, he loves his son, and that's number one. And I always tell him that your child comes first, and he always tells me he appreciates me for, I said, I have children too. Like, they're part of me.
Absolutely. Well, we have to leave it there. My show is just about to finish, but I want to thank you so much for coming through. It's been an absolute pleasure to do a reading for you today.
Not okay for me. Everything will be okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. You take care.
You too.
Bye. And off she goes, and I literally do have just a few short seconds left, so I will be back same time next week. If you do want to get hold of me, you can do on through my website, which is www.modern-mystic.co.uk.